So now we're coming up on the lawsuit. And as you see up at the top, embedded law, that is talking about the suffering of blacks. Black people are the only people on earth who have suffered and have never had any restitution or reparations. And we're going to get this in the form of special damages if we can get Cat on board to help us get this, because we all get that. He's going to get whatever share the jury gives to him, which would be actually for my damages. And the reason why I have a right to sign a contract with Cat giving it to him is because the courts, the judges have been so angry that they don't want black people to get anything. And so the judges, I'm not fighting my defendants anymore. I'm fighting judges. And anybody that knows anything about law, you know that this is a really bad situation. So you guys can go through and read that. And I'm going to definitely go through and edit where my head is. Okay, embedded law rewards blacks only in special damages. The lawsuit pre-discusses special damages for 40 million specially damaged people. I believe this disclosure, I disclosed this to the courts from the state on up to the federal court. I disclosed this and it sealed my fate with the judges. And we already have a jury who has paid us 137 million. We got to go get that. Hopefully, we are beyond our time, but the black people didn't know. And the judge knew because I put in a notice that, hey, you didn't consider our constitutional rights. The judge took the 137 million back because he only considered the constitutional rights of a corporation. And I'm not a lawyer, so I didn't know how to handle myself to go and get it for the people. But uh, we need to go in and get this case taken care of, and then we need to come in and have them um, agree that black people weren't notified. And I have been asking these judges to make this public because this is a public case and they're refusing to make it public. Okay, I swear an oath on everything I've said in this or shared in this presentation is the truth. So everything I say, everything I said before this, everything I'll say after, I am saying, I, Sandra Black, swear under penalties of perjury that everything I present, share, say is absolute truth and honesty to the very best of my ability. On this, okay, it's saying it's the 20th. That's when I signed the document. Okay, but now today is March 12th. And it took me this long to make all of this, you guys. They so bogus how they doing me because of my disability. Everything takes so long for me to do it. And so I signed it, and I'm saying it now that I swear under penalties of perjury this very day, March 12th. And on that day that I started this presentation, everything from the beginning to the end, because I don't lie. I'm going to tell the truth. Okay? So I swear under penalties of perjury. This is all the truth. Everything. No dishonesty. So it started with the defendants issuing a 30-day vacate notice. There is the notice, April 19th. Okay, and they're saying that they had seen my uh, um, occupant because they didn't know it was my son. It was my son that they saw. They didn't know it was my son because he had cut off his dreadlocks. I'll show you pictures in the end of this. And they said several others, which they didn't know. It was a court order that ordered these people into the home because we didn't have access to the people. They were minors. So, and this would be my husband's future wife and his baby that he claims who is white. You'll see pictures. The baby's white, she's white. And they seen these two white people with my bald, almost bald son in comparison to dreadlocks down to his butt. His hair was like about this long, if that long. You'll see a picture. And so they decided that, well, we're just going to make up the rest. We saw him walk in. And here's the evidence, you guys. Not allowed in court. Okay, the Monroe court order forces the minors, my the custody, forces the custody of these minors over to my son. They were forced in by sheriff. And here's the court order. So you can look it up. There's the case number. You know that the court orders for black people in American court is not allowed? Not for this black person. They will not mention it because it damages white people. Because this proves that there was, if we needed a sheriff to get them, how could they have been there before that day? Look at the date, April 19th. It shows you April 19th. It's ordered. Now, and I can't go back because this one I don't think it'll let me go back. So anyways, but you've seen it, I hope. You can go back and see. Okay, so then the landlords file a frivolous eviction lawsuit to evict me because of those people that I just spoke of was supposedly living in my house, and they were seeing them for over a month going in and out of my house. But they haven't taken one single picture. They have surveillance cameras where they can, if they want to, take pictures from their camera. I have seen them with my own eyes. And that so-called, that my son's car was leaving reckless when both myself and my daughter went to look at the video shows my son's car there. No. It, anyways, what it shows is that you don't get to see it moving. It shows that it's there, then it goes away, then it shows that it's gone. You don't get to see it moving out. So in other words, the car moving out so reckless, that's deleted. And Erica showed it to us. So nobody deleted it but Naomi. This is the actual court eviction. You see the original court case number. You see number 2. They're only saying I'm being evicted for allowing unauthorized occupants. That's the reason why I'm being evicted. Okay? So the defendants lose their case due to failure to prove unauthorized occupants existed. Okay? And this is the order denying them possession. Eviction denied because they failed to prove that there was anybody living in my house. Okay? So you guys can read through that. You could read. This is the part that I really wanted you to see. I think I have it where it's close up, easier to read. As you can see, the agreement is between the tenant, who's myself, I'm the tenant, and her son, Kimuel Shem, Mr. Shem. That's my son, and the landlord. So it provides that the tenant may occupy the apartment along with Mr. Shem and the tenant's grandchildren. The tenant's grandchildren are on the lease. They're listed as Cristiano Gumbuyide, Victoria Gori, and Christian Gori. The landlord did not, you guys, the landlord did not prove that the tenant's adult daughter and Mr. Shim's wife were also occupying the apartment. in violation of the lease. So this is an order. And do you guys know that it's not allowed? None of the court orders are allowed to support a black person. And what's worse, they're going to make up a lie. So when we get into court, this is the court number in federal court. The judge, not the defendants. The judge, well, the defendants were lying all the time. I mean, just perjury, you could prove it. One minute it was several people, the next minute it was only one person, but I only need one, and this is under oath. Then the next minute it's all of these. It's just all kind of different stories that are as far as who these people are. One person says that it was just my daughter and Mrs. Shim. Then the other person says that there was a child also. And I can't put out why they did that, but I know why they did that. And the judge refused that they couldn't even describe these people. They say that they saw them themselves, but I'm not allowed a description of what they look like. Denied. So this is Jim Crow. Okay, and you guys can read that. Um, I'm skipping ahead to show you an order so that you guys can see how prejudiced this court is. This order was issued after I motioned the court to please treat me equally, even though you're pro se. Okay, I am pro se. I am indigent. I am. Uh, I qualify for help, but not if you're automatically black and guilty. Well, you can't say guilty in civil. In the wrong. If you're automatically in the wrong because you're black, you don't qualify for anything. So this is the order in writing, you guys. In writing, plaintiff is ordered to appear in person, but the defendants may appear by counsel in person or telephonically. Now, why couldn't counsel appear in person as well? If you're going to make me have to spend my money, because both of us would be coming from out of town, it's about equal distance. We both should have had to spend our money. But the reason why she wanted me to appear in person is because she intended on harassing me. And I kind of explained right here what she was doing. Okay. Um, Making me lose my money for gas to drive out of town, making me lose my time to drive out of town. And of course, I've got to drive back home while they just get to pick up the phone. And this is after I asked to be treated equal. So then I ask, is this white privilege or is this equal treatment? And then the fatal court orders. And the reason why I call them fatal is because remember I told you that they lied. What they did is they said that no matter what, we're going to put unauthorized occupants in your home. And this is the real sick part. They put my grandchildren who are on the lease, who the court order says that it's on the lease, who the defendants say are on the lease, but the judge says they're not on the lease and that I am in the wrong. The first court order that came out, I missed it. And this is what I call Jim Crow in the 2020s. Okay? And like I told you, oh my gosh. With my disability, uh, reading through these things, I just get totally paralyzed a lot. It's very, very difficult. And I'm glad you could see the date from the time I started this. You could tell that it takes me like forever to finish anything. Okay, so when I seen that they denied, this is an order answering the defendant's motion to dismiss my case, and the motion was denied. I just went ahead and started a summary judgment for partial evidence, so that when they look at my evidence, I would be able to ask for an attorney because they were malicious. They're proven not to have, that they were lying with the evidence. And it's their burden to prove that they were telling the truth. So you guys could read through that. So the court ruled that the Civil Rights Commission, and this is the reason why they wouldn't take it back. The civil rights, black people have no chance in America. Here in Indiana, civil rights have a lot of black people working for their agency. But what they work and do is that they um, make it automatically that the corporation wins. They don't do they don't do any investigation. Okay, they did not come out to the place. They didn't know what was going on. When I first submitted my complaint in December of 2016, they refused it because they said I was only allowed 3 lines. How do you tell 3 lines for well over a year's worth of damage that you're going through? But you're supposed to only write 3 lines. So it took me forever to get them to file the complaint because they either want you to make up a story, which of course, if you make it up, then you're in trouble then because they're going to, of course, catch you in your mess anyways. When on intake, I was told to say that, oh, don't they always do this and they always do this? They're always under, they don't always, because I don't hardly see them that much for them to always, but when they do, you see what I'm saying? Then this is when these certain things happen. So, yeah, they're saying that my grandchildren are not on the lease, so I am automatically in the wrong. This is order number 80, and I'm not allowed to have any discovery. What they did with the discovery was they submitted production of everything I asked for that I already had. See, um, I asked for my violations, my lease, all of the things I already had so that they could not add to or take away when I come to trial. That was my insight on the reason for asking for those things that I already had. But what they did was they sent me all the things I already had. But the things that I asked that would lead to discovery, they said it was unintelligible and they couldn't understand what I was saying. Like, for example, when I said that I wanted people, white people who were good tenants, just like me, white tenants who paid their rent on time, did all the things they were supposed to do, who they just got mad at maybe because they were fat or ugly, or because that's not a discrimination lawsuit. They couldn't understand any of that, you see. And there was other questions. Anything that would lead to discovery was unintelligible and was not delivered. So 100% I could not get my discovery. And I was asking you guys, give me my discovery and then I'll do your deposition, because I did all of my stuff first. I submitted all of my discovery. I answered all of their questions. I gave them, complete cooperation. Here, the judge says on the grounds that plaintiff unauthorized guest, you guys, my unauthorized guest, her grandchildren, to live in the apartment in violation of the lease. You guys, so this is pertinent. How can you just make me have a violation? How can you just make them be right? America. So this is my motion, a request to substantiate the order. I'm like, can you please explain how, and I go into for the discovery and all the stuff, and the fact that they don't mention my court orders. You're not giving me a mention that the court order states that there was nobody, that the defendants cannot prove that anybody was living in my house. So how are you going to be able to put those people in the house? And the defendants are not putting those people in the house. You see? And so this is where I write on my submission that the court has made an error. The grandchildren are on the lease. The court doesn't care about what the truth is. The court is refusing fact. Courts can't do that. This is illegal. But I'm just black, so nobody cares about the nigger. You know, it's so frustrating. And I'm just showing you some of the things that I did answer. This is a 17-page document, okay? And that's what I'm explaining to you. I explained for 17 pages that that what they were doing was false and that it must be removed. It must be removed because it's false, factually false. Okay? And then the judge orders that my motion to substantiate the order is an objection to her order. An objection is denied. Now, she don't say that what I'm objecting to is the facts that my children are on the lease. She never says that. She just says that my motion to substantiate the order is an objection. She gets to just totally change my narrative, and she does it all the way throughout the whole entire case. Totally change my narrative. Nothing I'm saying is allowed in court. Nothing of value. And if they do mention it, they mention it in a negative light. I then motioned the court after they said that my objection is denied, because I'm looking at, okay, substantiate. They're trying to act like they don't know that I'm saying, well, can you show me where you are getting the evidence that these people are not on the lease? Which is easy. All the court had to do is look at the lease. The lease has been submitted at the lower state and at the federal court too. I believe the defendants have submitted it. I have definitely pointed out where the court order shows that my grandchildren were on the lease. And you guys read that the court order says my grandchildren are on the lease. You can back up and see. Okay. So I again motion the court to remove the errors, the many erroneous statements that you're making. It's false. Another thing they said, the reason why she's not going to count the order in my favor is because the defendants didn't get a chance to be heard. The defendants were totally heard regarding unauthorized occupants. Totally heard. everything. As a matter of fact, even until I got out, this case was not dismissed until I got totally out, and it was dismissed because I had to go to the appellate court to get a right to dismiss it because the judge was trying to force me to have it heard in his court. He told me I can't dismiss it. He refused that he wasn't going to dismiss it, and that if I didn't get my complaint in to him, that it's going to be permanently dismissed. Permanent. And so I went through the appellate court, and the dismissal was my counterclaim. Okay, that's what was dismissed. And when he dismisses my counterclaim, he says both parties are free to sue each other. So she says that, well, since they're both free to sue each other, then she wasn't totally heard. But he said that he heard the evidence in the order. And so that's the motion to remove court erroneous conclusions and bias. They ain't gonna remove it. They utterly refuse. And then even after that, they're ordering me to be sanctioned, that the black victim should pay these white defendants who maliciously, no evidence or whatever, that I have any violations, because I didn't know that for white people or whoever these are for, they brought these to court and made up their this is fraud right here, because I never received that. They made it up because their lawyer told them you don't have enough evidence against her. All you talking about is unauthorized occupants. So they fabricated friendly reminders and brought those in. I never received any friendly reminders, and they never gave out any friendly reminders. How come I got all the others? Okay, here is my lease agreement. As you can see, Marion Housing Authority, that is where I'm from. And they state that I think right here is important to see that all the individuals listed from December 1st, 2015 through to the end of the tenancies are whom the housing program paid for. So if they weren't on the lease, why is the housing program paying for them? And that's what the defendants aren't going to deny, that they were there. They were legally on the lease. Okay, so this is the statement to state that those people were legally entitled to be in this home. And then here is the actual lease agreement, where you can see, just as the order states, my son, Chris Dion, Victoria Christian, Goree, all my grandchildren and my son are on the lease. You can see right here at the green arrow that after that year is up, it renews month to month. Okay, so nothing changed. How does a judge get to do that? Just remove my grandchildren off of the lease. And then these are more orders from 80. I'm just showing you how, and see, they, I think the lawyers typically prove discrimination by showing that other blacks are discriminated against. And so you get, well, this black person was treated like they were discriminated against, and this black was. But the way I prove discrimination is that it ain't never what happened to me has never happened to one single white person. So if it's never happened to one single white person, I've been discriminated against. And so she was going to make up that the judge was saying it was going to be too hard for them to come up with the evidence because I asked for all the years. She had been there for 8 years to come up with it. And the reason why I asked for 8 years is because it establishes in 8 years' time, not just the time I was there, but in a total of 8 years, you're not going to come up with one. Which in the end, they waited until everything was all done, that I don't have no time to do any investigation, no time, no help, no nothing. I'm criminalized practically in this court. And they submitted copies of white people who were actually receiving violations, no complaints to their violations or nothing. So that's not what happened to me. I was saying what happened to me. They should be having written statements saying that, no, I did not do this. All of these white people that they submitted, they were some grimy white people. I'm talking about in terms of, not, I'm not saying all white people are grimy. I'm talking about the few ones that they submitted to me. I think it was maybe 4 or 5. The ones that they submitted was just really guilty of doing what they accused them of. And there was never, ever any letter of complaint that, no, I didn't do that. You see? So it's not the same thing. And why was it so hard to just give that to me in the first place when you could have just wrote that no white person exists, period, that has complained that we were mistreating them. The court refuses to hear my argument. Okay. So that's that. And just think about it, if it happens to me, but never to whites, I'm treated differently. And that's where I was trying to come from. My lawyering is shit. I am a horrible lawyer. I know that if I had been a lawyer, I could have somehow backed them judges off. But my reasoning and logic kills them caring judges. Okay? You guys can read through some of this. And then this is some more of the document from 80 of her just tearing me apart, ripping me apart. Those are some of my written ideas on what she was saying. She even calls my, how does she say? She says that I have it's not a ramble. I can't remember. I was like, that's really discrimination right there. Bias. Because she was saying, she was calling my speech is something like rambling on. She's rambling on. Rhetoric. Was it? No, it wasn't rhetoric. Daggone it. I wish I could remember the word. But what the word meant is my crap that I write. That's what the word meant. Showing your bias. So, you guys, I never missed a single payment asked for me. And the reason why I have to say I never missed a single payment asked of me, because there is some kind of a pet payment that they never asked me for. And when they first asked for it, they was like, you either get it in or you're going to be evicted, something like that. You didn't even tell me about it. But I've never been late. I've never missed one single payment. No criminal activity, no property damage, no immediate neighbor complaints. little to no visitors, home kept clean, quiet, and well maintained. As a matter of fact, that's mentioned in the state order that I manage my house well and that I make those in my house manage it well. It's in the order, but you're not going to see it anywhere. They villainize me, you guys. There are technically no violations, period, because there were 2 violations. And I had never lived in a community setting before. So I didn't know, like, um, that if your blinds were broken, that because it was one of my blinds had been broken. And also I had a poster about my mom where and all it said was mother enslaved. That's all that was on there. And then the website, uh, just hoping to get somebody to help. This video is not that video. So many things at being black that you go through that enslaved my mom for 10 years, you know? So, and the judge called that I'm the same as the KKK for having something like that up. That's in the order. Couldn't get that out. This was at state court, the judge said that. Okay? They just make stuff up, man. Okay. So, I am ordered to pay sanctions to them, to their attorney. And then the woman who is the Karen, she gets the senior judge to back her up. And that's in Order 86. And he actually co-signs for her. Judge William Lee co-signs for her. Here we go. And maybe that's the reason why if Judge Lee co-signs for her, then we're not going to find her doing anything wrong. But see, I don't know if he co-signed for her because just because this is what we do for judges, because judges do that. They support whatever the judge says is almost like no matter what, that's God. But they're not supposed to, when you're presenting that this is a fact and something as simple as getting the lease, you're not going to do it. This rolls over into the circuit court. Diane Sykes violated me, knowing fully well that what this woman was doing is corrupt. Okay, so he's talking about my objections, which of course, even if it was an objection to the facts, it would be different. But he's saying that I'm objecting to the order. I never objected to anything. Only thing I said was that the court made an error because I was trying not to get it to where it got to where now it's like we're fighting against the judge. And then here you can see he writes blacks objections, which they're not objections. They're a motion to remove the error, are really just expressions of displeasure. Because when you're a nigga, what else do you get? You don't get to have your facts against whites, you guys. Blacks' objections are really just an expression of displeasure. So we get to pretend as if the daggone lease doesn't even exist. Not for a black person, it doesn't. Are my complaints just displeasure, y'all? Please let me know. So, Judge Collins' order does not deprive me of discovery. Of course it does, because if I'm already the villain in the court, how do I get an attorney? How do I get to get help? Ask the court for help. So I had no access. Okay, now I'm just explaining some of the stuff that they was talking about. Y'all could read through that. There is nothing, in conclusion, there is nothing erroneous. There is no error. There is nothing contrary to the law. This is what's supposed to happen to Negroes in America 2024, y'all. 2024. I'm getting my blood pressure up right now. I gotta stop. 2024. Really? Really? There's nothing erroneous. You just gonna plant my grandchildren not on the lease when it's written that they're on the lease? When the court order says that they're on the lease? So y'all can read through that. Chief Judge Diane Sykes backs the lie. She backs the lie. And the way she backs the lie, again, they don't never mention the facts that I'm saying that, hey, the white defendants are complaining that I had unauthorized people, and you are taking my people who are on the lease and throwing them off the lease and making them unauthorized as a judge? Really? And this is what she says. Okay, well, first I wanted to show you guys the argument. The argument is that all judges are saying that the Civil Rights Commission is right. The court order is wrong. The lease is wrong. I am wrong. The plaintiff is wrong. The defendants is wrong. The state court order is wrong. The lease is wrong. All of that is wrong. The only thing that is right is the judge and the Civil Rights Commission. Now, the reason why they want to keep the Civil Rights Commission is very important for them to stay right, is because that's the only evidence of anything stating that there was no discrimination, because the civil rights said that we didn't find any discrimination. Okay? But if you don't even know who live in the house, doesn't that erase their evidence? Doesn't that show that you were incompetent in your investigation? You don't even know who lives in the house. They even claimed that the court dismissed the case in favor of them. And how that came about, I don't even understand. I'm just telling you, this is all with the Civil Rights Commission. And so the judges all throughout is overruling my lease and overruling the court order, overruling even the defendants themselves, because even as big a liars as they are, they're not going to lie against what's written on paper. But when you're a judge, you can lie against what's written. It is written that my grandchildren are on the lease. How do you take it off? How do you take my grandchildren off? How? And I can't stop it. You guys, there is no stopping it. So I've been through them for 4 years. Then through the Court of Appeals, they snapped and went through it real quick, trying to force me to write up a brief, knowing daggone well that I'm write up a brief how you guys are already against me. And I asked them, motioned the court for an attorney, and they refused me. And then I motioned them to move the case so I could get an attorney. I need an attorney. So losing this case sets precedence that all judges are God beyond the facts and the truth. So any attorney seeing this, you need to be upset. You're setting precedents here. They will quote this. They will quote this, that it doesn't matter what the facts are. If a judge says this is the way it is, this is the way it is. Okay? And then Diane Sykes, she sealed it, saying that she challenges several of the judge's decisions. No, I don't challenge their decisions. I challenge the facts. They're not factual. You're lying, you evil cunt. Ooh, she makes me so mad. You guys see, I told you I'd get in my low energy. Breathe, breathe. She said, including the order to appear for a deposition. Okay, and with that order, oh my God, you guys, you just have to see it. It's just a mess what they did to me. And she was using the depositions to really harass me. We were ordered to 7 hours apiece. They made me do 8 hours. They made me do deposition over and deposition over and deposition over. You guys, really? With a lie. They only had 21 minutes coming. That's all that was left to do. And with their 21 minutes, she made me do a 51-minute deposition over and another 51 deposition. Y'all can tell I'm really getting upset. See, I'm messed up now. But they made me do these depositions over and over. The judge, Susan Collins, did this to me. And she ordered me to do 51 minutes. And then she instructed me, and you sit there and you don't leave until that attorney gives you permission. Fuck you. With my 51 minutes, how am I do both? How am I going to do 51 minutes and then sit there, you dummy, and then sit there until she give me permission? You ordered me to do 51 minutes. You instructed me to sit there until it's over. So I followed the order and did 51 minutes. So then she ordered the 51 minutes again. And I sit there for the 51 minutes again. Because, I mean, there's nothing for them to discover at all because they're so guilty. So much in the wrong. Not guilty. So much in the wrong. Okay. So the conspiracy to enable racism is being dishonest that facts are about opinion. That's a lie. Your facts are not about opinion. They're dishonest that the court orders from the court, lower state court, that is in favor of me, the court order that proves that these minor people who were coming in my house was not there previously. Because why do you have to get a sheriff to get somebody if you already have custody? They were only there that same day. And then my whole life, all my life, I've been an above average to excellent tenant all my life with no violations, no evidence, no pictures, no videos, no footage, no video footage, no documentation with HUD. If I had people living in my house, why didn't you HUD, we're watching her. You've been watching them for over a month now. We're watching her now. No, you couldn't call HUD because you wasn't watching. You never seen those people before. And then I have the court order requiring sheriff. Okay, I haven't talked about that. And the court order that proves that there is no evidence of unauthorized. And then the Civil Rights Commission is actually, although they're saying that they have no evidence of discrimination, they're actually proof that they're incompetent. It proves that they're incompetent because they don't even know who lived in the house. HUD sided with me. The defendants have admitted. HUD sided with me that there were no unauthorized occupants. I have never been disciplined at any time from HUD. And if you have unauthorized occupants, HUD will kick you off. That you will be done. Most all surrounding tenants stated that no one visits my home. Okay? And the ones who didn't was because they wasn't home for me to get a hold of them. There's not one person who can see my door that stated that I had people living in my house. So no tenants who could see my door lied that I had people living in my house. None of them. There was one tenant that lived way down on the other side who couldn't even see my door, who went to the state court to lie for them, and even lied where they had admitted and taken back a lie of a violation. They violated me pet mess, final warning. Okay, now I knew they set me up now to evict me anyway. That's the reason why I went to the Civil Rights Commission, was because of that violation. And they took it back and said, removed from file, disregard. Removed from file, disregard. But the idiot bringing me to court had no idea what she was dealing with, so she was going to use it in court. And the judge, it's in the court order. You guys can pull it up. The judge even said that the landlords misled the court with that, bringing that violation. That they're even admitting is nothing to it. Okay? So it's just all kind of testimony that they gave that is easily to prove that they perjured themselves. They have perjured themselves in the federal court as well. And I even showed the judge that, and of course, she didn't care. And I'm just so frustrated. These are all the people that have been contacted, and there's so many more. I don't think I have Martin mentioned on here. Just so many people have been contacted. I have written about African American not being allowed their chance in court. This is what my son looked like with his dreadlocks. This is who the landlords knew. This person. These are the people who walked into my house right here. This is what my son looked like with his wife. At this time, they're married, and baby. This is what they look like walking into my house that day. And these are the people who they are talking about was unauthorized, but they only seen these people one day and told me to get out.